Anim Bojo. I'm Sherry Lawson, host of Indigenous Voices. We're still here. My special guest today is James W. Simcoe, who is a member of the Chippewas Rama First Nation. He's many other things too, but today I'm going to refer to him as our powwow aficionado. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Very good to be here.
I would like you, first of all, please, to introduce yourself in whichever way you think is proper.
Okay. Wanana Bojo, Zonga de Nene in addition to Kaz, Adik Dodim, and Jiking Donjaba. Beding Made. Namiswain Don, we need Jomadevion. My name is James Simcoe. I am Ojibwe Anishinaabe from Rama First Nation. I'm of the Caribou clan. I'm a Medewan man with the Three Fires Confederacy Lodge. And that's just a typical traditional protocol greeting.
Okay. Thank you, Miigwech. We're going to talk quite a bit in the next half hour, James, about powwow. And I had a jingle dancer on previously who talked about sort of the women's perspective. So we'll just see where we go. Tell us about your involvement, first of all, over your lifetime with powwow.
Oh, geez. We're going to go back a few years, just so you know.
That's okay.
For me, it started back in the 70s as a very young singer right here in Rama. So we started singing and then traveling to Powwow. Myself and a few others, back in 1986, along with many from Rama, we managed to raise money and really work hard on Rama's, again, like it's almost like Rama's first powwow again. There's been many first powwows, but this one we started in 86, and it is still going today, except for COVID kind of put things on pause. But back in 96, there was a group of us, and like I said, and it was very good, well attended, and it quickly became a favorite event in Rama and the surrounding area, because there wasn't much happening in terms of that. So very good public attendance, yeah.
And that was long before casino as well too. So we didn't have the tourists who were coming in at that time.
Oh, very much so. Most of our visitors were mostly singers and dancers. Large families, because they just do this throughout the whole powwow season. And our main public came from mostly Simcoe County and some from the Toronto area. We did get quite a few visitors, and this was at the time of Thanksgiving. So it quickly became a favorite time of the year for everybody, because not only was it Thanksgiving, but you also got to come to Rama for the powwow.
I think a lot of our viewers won't have any idea what a powwow is. And if they've ever gotten to one, they wonder what goes on from the beginning there. We list on the poster grand entry. Tell us about all of that. What does that really mean, and what's the significance of it?
Well, when powwow finally came to Native people and all over Turtle Island, and that's how we'll refer to it as that way, because it quickly spread. It's not a religious event. Our religion is in the Medewan Lodge. Powwow started off, and still is, a social event. It was time to come together, the families, the singers, the dancers, and everybody would meet. So we quickly managed to have a lot of gatherings, but it quickly became a celebration of life, because when that happens, healing also started to happen. So we celebrate life, and we give thanks, and we're very thankful. And a lot of these things that we have learned here in Rama come from many people, including, there's notable people in Rama that I learned from, and most notably people like those that come from the Benson family, and a dear friend of ours we were very close with, Mr. John Snake, and all these different things, which were many. We learned, and we knew when Powwow came along, came with it the Powwow spirit. Very, very beautiful when that Powwow spirit comes into your community.
Now, I've heard people say who've come to our powwow that they're standing up during grand entry, and then all those dancers come in and they hear the music for the first time, and they're standing there crying, and they don't even know why. What can you add to that?
When that happens, that's one of my favorite times as well. And I just mentioned that Powwow spirit. And I explained many times to many people, when we're lining up for our grand entry, we stand up mainly for all our veterans that have fought in all the great wars. They have our most respect and honor, and we stand up for them because they stood up for us and all of this country. So when those songs start, and this is time to honor, we honor all the life, those veterans, all those sacred articles and all those regalias and the songs and the families and everybody else. But when people first hear those songs or repeatedly, what they're feeling, and it's made me cry as well, is that's your spirit feeling the spirit of that song. And when that happens, this feeling comes over you, and it is so beautiful, and it just fills your soul. It fills up your spirit to that really good feeling. And when that happens, those are tears of joy. Those are really tears of joy.
Thank you. Tell us about your early days of learning to drum. Fast forward to modern times too, when young people are learning to drum. It's not something that you press play on a tape recorder and copy it, is it?
No. We like I said earlier, we started at a kind of a young age, and for some of us, and my first singing started in 1977, and there's a few other of us young guys from Rama, and our main teacher that brought us all together and started helping us and making us sing. His name was Ned Benson from Rama, and to this day, I credit him and I thank him for starting me off to sing, because here I am all these years later. What is it? Over 40 years later, and I'm still singing. So the origins of this started with Ned. And with that first came learning, not just before we learned songs, we had to learn what the drum is and how the drum come to be, which is a very long teaching in itself. And then we started learning songs. And then we just proceeded. We're a bunch of young guys, 12, 13 years of age or whatever it was, still in public school, still going to school. And at every available chance we got, we spent our time singing. We spent our time learning. And that went on for many years, as we got older. And then we eventually, started attending other powwows. Well, back in the 70s and the early 80s, Rama didn't have one yet. That didn't come until 1986. Yeah.
Okay, we had a guest on previously who talked about objects that we carry, objects that we look after, and how everything has a spirit in it. When you talk about practicing singing, you first had to learn about the drum. So tell us a little bit about those things. Reader's Digest version.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can get very detailed, but you pretty much said it. And our way of life starts with spirit, right? And every living thing has a spirit. So all our articles, to us, to Native people, to many people for that matter, they believe that, if they have life, they have spirit, they bring life. Look at the trees. Look at the grass. Those are living beings on this planet that was placed here. So the drum, when the drum come to be, it came in a way that is very special, very sacred, very beautiful story, um, and it was full of spirit. And we quickly found out that drum became the heartbeat of this whole earth, this whole Mother Earth that we call Shkokimikwe, meanwhile Okikwe, our earth, our mother, the earth, and that has a heartbeat. And that's what that drum represents. Because when you feel that beat of that drum, you're feeling that heartbeat. So it's a very good thing.
Okay, thank you. Now, also, I understand that for your drum group, you're called singers, you're not called drummers, and that there's someone assigned to look after the drum as a drum keeper. Am I right?
That is correct. I'm a singer. You are very correct. Some people call us drummers. I don't look like a drum. We have a drum for that. So I'm a singer. All those like drums and hand drums and shakers and whistles, those are tools. Those are tools that help us sing, right? So we learn the songs that come to us. And I like the way, the one thing I really learned from John was we always talked about song. So, and John always talked where his teachings come from. And one of the things I really liked the way he put it was when there's many types of singing. And one of John's favorite ways, and mine as well, was the style is more of a chant. So when we sing songs, we're chanting. But that chant is described, and it come that way from all of creation. So you take the wind, the sound of the wind, all those birds that are singing in the morning, those beavers that are going through the water, everything that's moving in creation, thunder, the rain. You put all those sounds together, and you have chant. I like the way that John put it that way. So, and I always remember that way. So when we sing songs, and songs are very specific, all of creation will understand those songs, and that's why they're called chant, as will the Creator. We have a very kind Creator, a very kind Spirit, and we call him and her Gjemenedo. So when we sing and chant that type of song, the Creator understands. The Creator acknowledges. So, and then we have the word songs, and there's words with real language. Some are English words, some are Ojibwe words. The Cree Nation have theirs, and as the Lakota, and so on and so forth. So yeah. Oh.
Well, and I've heard as well, too, at more modern powwows, sometimes they'll do songs that are kind of made up. It talks about we came here to the powwow and our car broke down and we had to hitchhike on the way. There's sometimes all kinds of crazy songs, too. Am I right?
You are very correct. It's gotten to the point, especially in the last 25, 30 years, singers got really creative. Modern living and modern things like that enabled songmakers to really come up with some creative songs. For instance, you mentioned there's Northern Cree singers. They got a very famous song. It's a round dance song about Facebook. That's just an example of it's modern day singing. There's other, whatever the topic is of the day or the issue that's going on in life or an event that's going on, chances are there's a song maker out there making a song about it. So and in a lot of cases, it's all intended to be fun, to bring good feeling. And in a lot of cases, we'll always go back to healing, because those round dance songs are very healing. Yeah.
So there's probably somewhere to the south of our border, some group down there who wrote a song about a president who's no longer in charge. So I'll be looking forward to that next up Powwows for sure, because that's news.
Probably correct
can you
on that,
tell?
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We can bet money on that. Can you tell us, James, about some of the rules and protocols surrounding powwow? I had one of the politicians from a neighboring community come to the powwow 3 or 4 years ago now, and I brought him in, was showing him around, and he asked me where the beer tent was. And I kind of had to pull myself together after he asked me that. But tell us about some of the things that people need to have an idea about.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually remember that happening, and I know who it was. And I remember you
who shall remain
right?
nameless.
Yes, exactly. But those are the kind of things when we're talking powwow, they are intended as a celebration. So rules are actually set, right? Things like the reason why we don't allow drugs or alcohol at these events is because these events are intended to be pure. It's like we're celebrating life, and this life is going to bring us healing. So we don't want substances altering our spirit when we're delivering those songs or those women are singing that beautiful jingle dress dance. So those things aren't allowed, as well as there are certain animal life that shouldn't be allowed in a dance arena area. For example, like certain dogs. Why I say that is because dogs are very disruptive, and they're messy, right? We can't have them messing up moccasins and for the dancers. It's not a good thing. But we can go back to our story of creation and how close a relative dogs are to Maingan, the first one that was here, and that was the wolf. And there was a point where man and wolf had to walk separate lives because the two were always disruptive of each other. So that's why, it's a very good reason why we don't allow dogs, because that's not their place in life. We have seen and we have dealt with, things change, and we have accepted and allowed trauma dogs, comfort dogs, those that are trained and licensed in a controlled manner, and I've allowed it at Rama Powwow. So, and we just got to go with the changes,
okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about some of the other unwritten rules. I used to spend a lot of time with Harvey and Stu Anderson, and he always said, don't touch people's regalia. It's not yours. You don't go up and start feeling the beads and the buckskin and the moose hide, and don't take your camera and run into the middle of the arena so you can get a great picture of people's feet. Tell us about some of those things.
Well, that is very true. When an individual, doesn't matter what age or what category, male or female, that individual has made a regalia based on their life, their clan. And in a lot of cases, some have dreams about the regalia and what every single article on them means. So there's a lot of meaning, and there's a lot of intent that helps them dance for those that can't dance anymore. So that's why they kind of protecting themselves, or they're protecting their articles. And it is kind of inappropriate. You just don't go up to anybody and touch them, and especially today's life, and or anything like that. Pull out their feathers. In a lot of cases, things get damaged because, especially feathers, they're very delicate, right? A beautiful woman's eagle feather plume is very, very delicate. And then, and when that woman wears that in her dance arena, you can see how beautiful it really is, because it just kind of glides and flies in the air as she dances. So yeah, you mentioned the photographs. Out of respect for that individual, we do ask. It's okay to take pictures as long as you ask. Many nations come, right? So every nation has different teachings, or different clans have different teachings. So out of respect, we always, it's good to ask, can I take your picture? Hey, can I have your picture with you, with my family? So on and so forth. We're a brand new baby, and it's a really beautiful photo. But we always tell people and ask people to ask. And that's now the accepted norm.
Right. Thank you. I also was taught that you make room for the dancers and the drummers. So if there's a lot of people, big crowd of people, and one of the dancers leaves the arena and is starting to cut through the crowd, you back up so they can have room. So tell us about those kinds of things as well.
Well, in Rama, we work hard to do several things, obviously, and then that's why Rama Powwow is a success. For the singers, we have a designated area where they set up, they can sing, they give them lots of room and protection from the elements, be it wind and rain or whatever, or the hot sun. But in these, I call them drum pits, because that's where all the singers will gather. They will set up. A lot of people do congregate around them, which is fine, but we have to give them reminders to allow the singers time to get in and out. We don't want to crowd their drum area where their drum is, because there's sometimes they can have 8, 10, 12, singers, and most drums will have women singers. And when you see little boys, or mostly little girls, that are singing with their moms or their aunties, those little girls are learning those songs at that time, and they already like to learn. They already like to sing. So it is really good to see that. But dancers themselves, they need that room. So we're up, as a powwow organizer, we got to make sure that not only do our dancers have an area to set up and sit and relax and set up their regalia, do repairs when they have to, or switch regalias. We have to make sure that's there for them. So the dance arena, I call it the dance arena, is readily close to them. So that's kind of what we try to do in Rama.
Right. I've spoken to quite a few people around the area every time the posters go up every summer. And I say, are you coming to the powwow? And they said, well, I've never been there because I kind of thought it was just for you guys. And I think to myself, why do you think we made 500 posters? So remind us again of who Powwow is for, James.
Powwow is for absolutely everyone. We have many nations that come, and they bring those songs that all nations can sing. And a lot of them we call intertribal songs, because those songs can get sung within all these different tribes. And I remember back in the 80s and 90s when we were doing Rama Powwow, and we really worked hard to tell the public, especially those that live close to us around the area, in the township, Ruya, Barrie, Midland, Gravenhurst, all the immediate area around Rama. And we worked hard. All those signs, we even put road signs that were, at the end of Rama Road, and just to let the public be aware, right? We did back then it was newspaper ads. We didn't have social media. Social media simplified a lot of things for us, and a lot of free advertising, but we still advertise as well in magazines and on websites and so on and so forth. It's like I said, these things have changed. Things have really changed since we started doing these powwows. Yeah.
We had a guest a few weeks ago who told us that we shouldn't believe everything we see on the internet. That she read some things on there about how a jingle dress has to have 365 jingles. She said she doesn't know who wrote that, but it wasn't a jingle dress dancer. So although the information is out there, you have to try to make sure that it's accurate. And so by coming to a powwow, you can see what's really going on. Am I right?
You are so correct. You know, even in Native communities, and I don't know how it happens or why it happens, these funny rules suddenly appear. 365 jingles on a dress. You know, there is a teaching with everything. And the jingle dresses, it has a beautiful, beautiful teaching for the women. It doesn't say anything about how many jingles you have. So that's, yeah, you know, and we found other groups of people, we'll say, or not just nations. They will make assumptions based on what they see, right? And instead of asking, which we encourage, ask the questions, and you know, and that's how we learn. Yeah.
Okay. I know that you and I, James, can talk about powwow for a long, long time. We haven't even scratched the surface here. But I want you to look ahead, having spent all this time in powwow, having learned all these things, these songs, this practicing. What does the future hold for our powwows?
Well, that's right now, that's the challenge. We're actually in discussions right now. We're actually trying to decide on how we're going to proceed this year. Last year we canceled it. This year we don't know what's going to happen. There's a hybrid of powwows starting to happen because of the pandemic, right? We got to keep everybody safe. I cannot see myself putting 5, 6, 8,000 people into that's what we get down here at this powwow, into that small space. Can't do it.
Right.
So we are looking at other areas.
James, I'd like to let you talk forever, but we have this demon called time, and we have to follow the rules. I thank you so much for joining us today. I think there's a lot that people have learned and could have learned in the last half hour. And just be sure to ask us questions. We'll give you the truth. We'll give you the right answer. Chimigwach for being here today. My special guest, James Simcoe.
Thank you for having me, Sherry.